All right, good morning, everybody. And welcome to your 6-month budget review. This is not going, let me tell you what it's not going to be. This is not going to be a review of the budget, and it's not going to be talking about next year's budget. Those will be further conversations. Basically, what we're going to talk about this morning is we're going to talk about how we've done with income and how we've done with expenses and what's driven those numbers, okay? And then we'll take, and I'd like to have questions at the end, so trust me, it's a 4-slide presentation, okay? So we can wait and hold those questions till the end. Those on Zoom, when we ask for questions, you can put them in the chat. So we'll get started with the first slide. Can you give me the next slide, please? There we are. On the income side, 2022 was a very tough year financially for a lot of folks. People lost jobs, they couldn't go back, they've had to change jobs. IRAs got hit with the stock markets dropping, et cetera. And it's no surprise that, you know, we've been impacted similarly. On the income side, as you can see, we're $26,291.33 below expectations in terms of what was committed. On the budget side, we had pledge commitments of $184,779 versus an actual of $158,488. On other income, auction, donations, other random income pieces, we are pretty much just on budget. So the $26,291 is really, you know, people falling behind on pledge commitments. And I know it's been a rough year. All I can say is, please, if you are behind, try and see if you can catch up, or even if you can't meet your full pledge commitment, just, you know, we would appreciate anything you could possibly give us on the income side. Next slide. This is the good news. On the expense side, we're $40,835 lower than budget. Now, I'll get into the reasons for that in a second, but it's pretty obvious that it's programs and staff. Budget was $211,635 against an actual of $175,355, where we're basically lower than budget by $36,280. On the property administration side, which is keeping the lights on, administration, other things other than staff and programs, we've actually had a savings of $4,555. So the good news is we've been able, and I think this has happened in a lot of households too, where income has been hit, we tend to, you know, kind of watch it and keep the expenses down. Next slide. So on the bottom line, which is, you know, net ordinary income, our actual bottom line is slightly better than expected. Our income due to unfulfilled pledges is below expectations, as I mentioned, by $26,291, with a savings on the expense side of $40,835, which is primarily due to payroll savings due to the lack of a DRE, Director of Religious Education, which amounted to, you know, $23,690 of that $40,000 is because we haven't had to pay that DRE. So our net bottom line positive through December 2022 is $15,284. So that's kind of the net of the net. Just in general, this is my first year as the finance chair, and I think my observations are that the staff and the folks running the church are very judicious about how they use the money. And I find that to make my job a lot easier, that being the case. So that's all the slides I have. Now I'll open it up to questions here in the audience, and then if people on Zoom can put them in the chat, and we'll field those secondarily. So any questions here in the room? Test, test.
Some expenses are not even through the year. Are there other larger ones that are skewed toward the next 6 months?
Not that I've seen. On the expense side, all of the other staff, with the exception of, I know Jimmy's leaving, so that's going to change. That income's going to change. Or that expense is going to change. We still don't have a DRE. So that's not, that may change, actually. Jim's going to speak a little bit about that. But on the other areas, I'm not seeing it, David. I mean, we've looked at it, it's been pretty, but the only thing that was kind of weird during the first 6 months was electricity, believe it or not. We went through like 3 or 4 months of like no electric bills, and then all of a sudden we got a bill and there was some discussion about tiering and everything else, but we finally got that put to bed. But I don't see anything happening in the second half of the year that would cause me concern. Anybody else? Yes. Here you go, Mark.
Thanks, Joe. You mentioned electricity. I know gas prices are up a lot, but that doesn't make a huge difference for our church, does it?
No, that's a small bill, and if anything, I haven't seen the January numbers yet because I'll be getting those before the next meeting. So the gas company had that big spike that I think happened in January. So if we're going to get hit with that, we'll see that this month in the financial statements when I get them before the February meeting. Anybody else? Yeah. My electric bill went up dramatically the last 2 months too. It's like, okay, I haven't done anything new, but all of a sudden I'm paying more for it. But in our case, because we've got the solar panels, that tends to keep our electric bills down, dramatically so. So we're in good shape there. We're in good shape there. Anything else? Don?
Yeah. It's not so much a finance, but knowing that we have salary savings, that's great. But in terms of the other savings, what are we not doing that we had budgeted to do?
Outside of salary, I don't see anything else that we've budgeted for that we're not doing. I mean, it's basically the big chunks are DRE, and obviously Jimmy will be leaving, so there'll be those kinds of savings. But I don't know of anything else that we should be doing that we're not. In fact, I'll be honest, if anybody here is on a committee or board, yes, Reverend Dana has a hand up.
I would say the biggest program budget we have is for religious education, and that has not, it's about $8,000, and that has not been a whole bunch of it, has not, it's not all, yeah. So that we'll do more of that, but that's the biggest program thing.
Thank you, Reverend Dana. Anyone else? Anybody on Zoom? Do we have any Zoom questions?
Not any yet.
All right.
Aaron Merrill was asking, though, if we could see the slides full screen. I don't know if there was one in specific she wanted.
Not knowing how she's viewing them, it would be hard for me to
Yeah.
explain how to do that.
If
It should
she,
be coming up full screen.
If she goes back into the chat, I'll let you know.
Okay. All right. Well, all right. I guess I did a really good job putting together a slide. Thank you. Thank you. I'd now like to introduce Jim Merrill, our board president, who has an announcement to make.
I told Kitty I'd be up here, so I better keep that commitment. First, I want to thank Joe and all the members of the Finance Committee that were poring over these numbers month by month and giving us an interesting report. And while I'm thanking people, I also want to thank David Henkel and Kimberly Prieto for the work that they have been doing alongside Reverend Dana to bring us a new religious professional. And All those savings Joe was just telling us about, your board has voted unanimously to start spending that money. We will, commencing February 15th, have a director of family ministry with us. Yes. It's a new title for a new position. We are looking at somebody who will be doing more than the work of children's religious education, really engaging in families, investing really in the families we have and the families we hope to attract. Without a membership coordinator, we expect there will be more of that work spread around among all of us, including especially the family engagement. So that person will be taking the role of the DRE and more. And her name is Lily Rappaport. And she's going to be with us in a little bit of a hybrid situation. Right now, she lives in the East. She's going to come out here to meet us and visit with us and find out who we are and start sorting out what she thinks she can help us with. She'll be going back there. She'll be moving out here permanently, but not until the summer. So she'll be out here a couple of times physically present to meet with us, and then doing a lot of her work, as many of you have done, remotely. Janice. Oh.
Will this be a full-time position?
The question was, will this be a full-time position? The answer is yes. We have been trying to make do with less than full-time, and how many directors of religious education have we gone through? It's been a revolving door. So this, as I used the word investment earlier, and that's really how we see this. You know, give the back half of the house its due.
Is this the time
Jim?
to speak to some of her background, Lily's?
She is a credentialed, Lily Rappaport is a credentialed, no, not credentialed. Oh, okay, well, she has 25 years of experience in religious education. Anything that you would like to holler out that I can repeat?
So Lily has been 25 years of experience in congregations all over the country. She has done a lot of interim, which is, you know, deliberately temporary acting work, and she's been moving, you know, so she has so much experience in so many congregations, and she, I want to look at the folks in the Zoom camera. I don't know. So anyway, hey. She's also in many configurations of the position. She, you know, the director of family ministries is really trying to encompass the whole family thing. She's very concerned about, she's thinking a lot about, okay, coming out of pandemic, what do families need? What do kids need? What is the configuration that it looks like? We're not going back to anything, the Sunday school model that we have been using and adapting over years was really something out of the 50s and 60s. And given families and kids' lives, how do we engage people in families and kids in, you know, and feed their spiritual and religious needs? So she's really working on that, thinking a lot about that. She's also basically said she doesn't want to come in and tell anybody what to do. She wants to come in first and do a lot of listening. That's something that we really appreciated. She's got calm and centered and, you know, with good vision and practical practical abilities to support teachers and support families. So I don't know what RE is going to look like going forward, and she doesn't either, and we get to figure that out together. So it really, yeah, so that's what I can say so far, and I don't know if anyone else has any other questions.
And I realized that I left out an important word that Reverend Dana did use. When she comes to us, she's coming to us as an acting director of family ministry. Unlike an interim, which person comes in and says is pre-fired because the interim expects to come in, do some work, and leave. Thank you, Gudrun. The acting person will be hired with the potential that if we like her and she likes us, it could become a permanent position. But she will start out as acting.
Jim, this is Brian. I have a question from the chat from Cappy Paulson. Can you explain family beyond the typical definition of family?
I think in this context, we're talking about any adults who come in with children or youth.
Well, and I'm sorry, Cappy just added, I was asking if it's a lifelong education, not just kiddos. So if that helps.
The short answer is yes. The longer answer is probably more nuanced, and it'll develop, and we'll figure out how that happens. But family is not necessarily limited. I mean, we could expand that definition to me being a family of one human, and of three if we're include other species. But so yeah. And if that is something that people want more of, then that's something that we tell Lily and we talk together about how that's going to happen.
Yeah, a word that's often used is lifespan religious education, and I'm getting the thumbs up from Mr. Henkel, so that's been discussed.
It looks like Cappy's answer or question was answered.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, I had a question. It sounds like, let's say June is she's going to be with us or not, but how much boots on the ground, so to speak, are we going to have between now and then in terms of her actually being here and in person interacting with the congregation?
This is David Henkel. I was involved in the interview process, and this was raised specifically by Lily. She had concerns about this as well, and so we have you may have heard, a religious education advisory council that has been active at least through the end of last year, and so she's interested in getting together with us and providing some transition with, as Dennis said, boots on the ground until she can get here full time, and we're hoping that's June or July. But I think she's going to be very involved and very engaged. So the two actual visits, her first visits are already planned, we think, for the time span between March 5th and 12th. Those are Sundays. She may extend, before and after, as she has family in California. I think I can share that. That's part of the reason that the impetus for moving here to the West Coast. And then there will be another visit during Dana's sabbatical. We haven't set that date, maybe May, but I think before school is out, we talked about that. So that she can be here again physically, for 2 Sundays. That she can get to know everybody and people can begin.
Thank you. I'm thinking about the people out there in Zoom land and having this disembodied voice coming to them. But yes. So when we do the formal introduction and she comes out to see us, that's when we'll get a chance to find out a lot more about her. But it seems, since we were talking dollars and cents, this was a good fit to be able to do this today. So thank you. Thank you for the time, Joe.
Thank you all very much for attending today, and hope you have a great rest of your day.